Hey, I'm back with another video. It's 2:56 p.m. It is Thursday, February 27th. Tomorrow will be the last day of February. And so today I had a kind of a late start. I got up, I would say, around my usual time, like at 6 o'clock in the morning or something like that. But I kind of stayed in bed and just kind of like, did some reading. And I was thinking about this one particular part of my project that I'm trying to word exactly the way I want it to, how I want it to come across. You know what I mean? So I'm constantly thinking about that, and it's good that I have that to focus on because I don't like to think about negative stuff. I am very glad that I am no longer working at where I'm at. I didn't expect this to happen and put me in this situation again, but I will tell you, I don't feel. It makes me feel better that I found out who the main perpetrator was, and I am looking forward to going on to the next chapter of my life. And I'm very grateful for the people who did, support me, even though wasn't really aware of it. Unfortunately, I've been in a period of isolation for a very long time. I did some videos, and I really want to kind of revive or kind of research the videos that I did create because I do think they're important for educational purposes. Like I said, some of those videos I had made were pretty old. Some were anywhere from 4 to 5 years old, and I was hoping that when you guys were watching them, I'm referring to my soul tribe as well as Mr. Weirdo. We're watching them that they would understand. Hey, stop it, right? And perhaps maybe you guys did, but I understand that I must have been some sort of commodity to him or whatever. Anyway, I don't want to go too deeply into that, but I am thinking about making plans for the future. Now, everybody knows that Maria is like this 50-year-old woman who's been tossed around and like spun out, and somehow or another, I got a lot of attention because of this like phenomenon, this like apparition, which is my father, that's able to be seen by people. And I, at one point in my life as CB Berganza, was in my life, in my death, at the point of death, was also a traveler of James Gordon. Okay, so we're like this cool pair that travel on, and people find it as to be a point of intrigue. I don't have a problem with people like I think people were like concerned about me being seen with this apparition. I'm weird. People know that I'm an occultist. I don't really have a problem with it, except for if it was getting to the point where people are like stopping and taking pictures and all this other weird stuff, then I can understand that. But that whole thing really should not have been kept from me. Okay, because everything what that did was give this person the opportunity to see me as some sort of commodity, and then also pretend that he was some sort of like manager. And you guys have to understand, BS is all over the place. Okay, people will find any reason to try to manipulate and get people, to do their bidding or whatever. You know what I mean? Uh, people are desperate. People are desperate. Okay, and people aren't acting in the most ethical or moral ways. Sometimes they're not even aware of what they're doing is wrong. They're just acting on impulse. Okay, whatever the case is, I feel as though a lot of people who claimed ignorance in this situation need a chance to not claim ignorance. Okay, and this is one of the reasons why I'm working on this particular part of my project. Okay, I do know that there was a lot of professional people. Like for example, I know that a lot of the lawyers in this community were influenced by this man. Okay, now I want to talk about a little bit about corruption. Okay, and also ignorance. Now, if these lawyers did not know that what this man was doing was wrong, okay, shame on them. Okay, shame on them. Okay, but if they did, then we have to deal with the issue of corruption. You do see what I'm saying? So there's guidelines to follow. You know what I mean? And it's not about somebody telling you what to do. You know how some people, I've heard this before by some people, like, some people say, oh, well, I hate it when people call me liberal or whatever. And believe me, everybody knows I've always tried to stay out of politics. Okay. It is only when somebody does something to me to literally like put me in a situation where, I can't live, I can't move, I can't think, I can't do anything, I can't, I'm cut off from people. People are treating me like it's bizarre. Okay. So, you know, when a person is trafficked, you know, especially women, okay, it can ruin their entire life. You know, there, like I said, there's a lot of women who are going to college or trying to improve their life and somehow, and they end up getting trafficked, and now they're end up getting in these forced marriages and all this other stuff, and their entire life just completely falls apart. You know what I mean? And it's always done in plain sight. You know what I mean? It's always done in plain sight. Why, you got to ask yourself, why is it that this person does not have control over their own stuff? Why is it that this person cannot make, if you don't understand that by the time you're over the age of 18, that you are supposed to legally be responsible for your own life and your own decisions, we have a problem. We have a very big problem. Okay? Because number one, you're the kind of person, unfortunately, this community is, there's a lot of people here in this community who are opening themselves up to all kinds of fraud. Do you guys know how much fraud is going on out here? I mean, like, you know, I was reading about, you know, bank fraud. Oh, it was just recently. Okay, I think it was about 2 weeks ago. There was a lady who was crying. She was online talking about how somebody scammed her out of her money. Okay, and it's crazy because these sort of scams were going on in the 90s. People talking about getting phone calls or text or whatever, responding to it, giving them information that they shouldn't be giving them out, and this stuff continually happens. It's like, you guys got to open your eyes. You cannot live like this. I'm just telling you, only because this brought up this subject, that this whole thing came to light out of this issue. And then it makes me realize, you know, I've encountered certain people that I've met in this community, and some of these people are very, very warm, but I can tell by some of the things that they say that they don't fully have a grasp on how to go through life. Okay. And it is not about somebody telling you what to do. When I'm talking about morals and ethics in this particular project, it's about understanding the social consequences of when you don't. Okay, like you can do it. You really can do it whatever you want to. And within the guidelines on the law, like you can sit here and, like, you know, stare at somebody and do this kind of stuff like that. That's considered harassment. If they tell you one time to knock it off, and you continually do it, they might be able to take that to like a small claims court still. Okay, but I'm just saying is, if you're the kind of person who doesn't like, you know, understanding that there is a certain way to behave to prevent, I call it preventing spite. Okay, like there's certain things that you can do in your social interactions that might rub somebody the wrong way, and you're not even aware of it. Okay, and the next thing you know, this person has something against you, all because you said something wrong and you didn't even know that it was ill-mannered to do so. Okay, and just like, you know, it's because people normalize certain behaviors, or they are ignorant of certain traditions outside of their life. So by this situation, looking at the issue of how this man viewed me as some sort of commodity, as somebody who didn't, it tells me that he's, number one, a racist. Number two, if I was a white woman or any woman, I wouldn't want to have anything to do with a man like that. Okay, you know why? Because that tells me that he views you as something to abuse. If a man doesn't know the difference between a business and a marriage license, we have a problem. Not only is he ignorant, he doesn't have any regard for women whatsoever. Okay? The very fact that he thinks that business is associated with a woman tells me that he looks at them as commodities. That's a problem. Okay? It's a problem. Now, he can live his life however he wants to, but the only thing is that affected my life. Okay? Over a decade after leaving Murray Family Farms place, this is what's been going on in my life. Okay, so anyway, I don't want to go on and on about that, but I'm just saying is, you know, I talk about ignorance and evil. Okay, they go hand in hand. Because if a person doesn't know that something is wrong, or they don't see a person as another human being, they can do all kinds of cruel things to them. All kinds of cruel things. Just because they don't know. I didn't know. Okay? And in this community where I was persecuted because I didn't have a bachelor's degree, okay, I get a little irritated when people sit there and act like, oh, I didn't know. You better know. Because that's why I was being persecuted. That was just one of the excuses of me, you know, my life being tossed up in the ground, up in the air, and people playing around with it, right? So I'm very glad that people are understanding what human trafficking is. That's great, okay? I'm very glad. And I am not somebody who tells people what to do. But I do think that people should live the best quality life that they should live, okay? And like I said, if people fall out of okay, like when I was being ostracized, because of this particular perp, I knew that, what, if people are going to ostracize me, then it's better off that way. Because there's no way in hell I'm going to sit here and live like that. I don't want to be like any of that sort of moronic behavior. I will not accept it at all. Okay, I will not. Okay, that is like, to me, that is just like the poorest quality of living. To be that ignorant and walking around. Are you kidding me? No, I don't want it. Period. Okay, but this person was very, very persistent. Now, if a person is what I call a social cancer, somebody who deviates from the established norm, and when I say established norm, I'm talking about the established norms of the law. Like people who sit here and like want to like harass people or badger people out of the things that they have, or desecrate things that they have, create rumor mills to affect the quality of life of another person, trying to affect the quality or lessen the quality of a person's life. Somebody who is disruptive to society, somebody who gossips about people, somebody who gaslights people, somebody who human traffics people. At some point, people are starting to catch on to psychology, and I'm very glad that people are doing that. I've been seeing a lot of videos, and I know that I'm encouraging a lot of it, and I'm very grateful for that. Okay, but people are starting to also, set boundaries in their life. They're starting to identify people who have narcissistic behavior. Okay, and sooner or later, people are starting to become more and more aware of what is good for them and what is not. And these people are going to find themselves on the outskirts where they should be. Now, at first, when I first thought about this sort of like this idea of encouraging psychology and law together, that's ancient, really. It is, okay? But as Maria Gordon, through this situation that I got into, okay, this whole issue, is because it's important that, people understand that it's not about telling you how to live. It's that if you cannot be a peaceful person, if you can't learn to love yourself, respect yourself, live in the guidelines, and focus your life and on your own things, and not be an obstruction to the lives of other people, okay, then you probably don't really belong to be here. Okay. And then I kept thinking, it's not genocide. And I kept thinking what it is, it's just a natural process of things. If a person knows that you have the reputation of burning this person, you've also stabbed this person in the back, why would you want to have anything to do with that person? You wouldn't. You'd be a little bit more careful about who you call your friend. So guess what? The natural process starts to happen. This person is going to have a hard time getting a job. This person is going to have a hard time dealing with the family, especially people who desecrate their family. Why should they be here? Why should you be here? So it's not somebody actually taking it upon themselves or gathering people up who are bad and putting them in a situation. These people will be doing it to themselves. They will be getting what they deserve. This is a system that would be able to identify and run on itself. So once people step out of that line, when people finally get tired of getting burned with these individuals, they finally do away with these individuals. Naturally, without even having to touch them, because these people will bring damnation on themselves. I'm sorry, I'm getting intense. Sorry. It's just, I'm tired of ignorance. I'm tired of people who think that they could like rule the world, and the world is their oyster, and they feel as though they can sit here and obstruct and create chaos in the lives of other people who are trying very hard to make it. To me, when I'm looking at my situation, I'm sitting here, I've said many times on my channel, I'm a woman, I'm all by myself, okay? That doesn't mean, hold on to me for like 10 and almost, a whole decade or so and keep obstructing me. Anyway, sorry about that. So anyway, let me get on to better things to talk about. Please forgive me, okay? That is a subject that pushes my buttons. That is a subject that really pushes my button. Okay, so it's time to move on to something a little bit happier. Let's talk about the future. So the future is that I'm working on these projects, okay? And that right now, I am not working. I am not working. So what I need to do is I need to keep my mind open. Okay. Now I did talk about Lancaster. I don't know about, going out there. If I was to move to Lancaster, and gone are the days where companies have the expenses to sit here and relocate a person and all that other stuff. That would be great. Okay. But I certainly don't expect it. I'm realistic. Okay. So chances are I'm keeping my mind open. I'm looking for work here and I'm looking for work there. Okay. Now I have been doing some modification of my card spreads, right? My card spreads, and I've been doing a little bit more research in the whole CB Braganza thing. Okay, and I did find out that CB Braganza, obviously worked as a mortician, but I also get the intuitive message that he worked for the cemetery. Okay. And I believe he even lived on the premises of the cemetery. Okay. Possibly. Okay. Now, I don't want to go back to that kind of work. Okay. But, I was thinking about making a community project request. Okay. And it was going to be called Traffic Me Back Home. Like, how gang stalking, they do it and it's really screwed up and it's all negative, right? But this is like, it's a covert program that will allow me to have access to the whereabouts of CB Braganza if I get trafficked back to Lancaster, California. I did a reading that indicates that CB Braganza, some of the places that CB Braganza lived, which I cannot specifically pinpoint, are still there. If there's historical records, I'd like somebody to look that up and traffic me there because I want to get weird as CB Brigade. I want to touch all that stuff. I want to feel the energies. I want to be in my element. I was doing some research and I found this article about how in Lancaster, the early formulation of it, they did some advertising in England to lure people to the Antelope Valley. And I kept thinking, this is probably what made him come down there. And what they did was they really emphasized their beautiful pears and pear blossoms and their beautiful agriculture at that time, which most of Lancaster doesn't really look that way anymore, but there was a time where it did, right? So it's very interesting to me, very, very interesting. And so if that's possible, please put the wheels in motion for all that weird stuff, because I am like really wanting to get to CB Braganza. I want to feel his energy all the time. And I that would be cool. Okay. But in the meantime, I am going to be marketing myself here as a, what do you call it? I'd like to work for a company that is just cool. Meaning like, they're not going to make a big deal, about any, I'm the kind of person, as long as I'm doing my work, I don't really trip on people. Really. I don't. Whether I was working in a management position or a subordinate position, I'm just like, all I care about is work. Just get it done, and I'm cool, right? So that's I'm keeping my options open, but I'm also thinking about me being 54 years old, okay, and I really know that I'm getting a lot older, so I really want to get into the CB Braganza thing as soon as I possibly can, but I also sometimes, just have to kind of play it cool and see how things go, and I know that Lancaster's changed. When I was living in the Antelope Valley as Maria Gordon, I used to like going to certain streets. That would be like Beach, Cedar, Date. And I tried to pinpoint through karting, exactly where CB Braganza lived, but he did live in those vicinities, okay? And then it also indicated that he spent a lot of time by the railroad tracks. CB Braganza was probably suicidal, possibly, you know what I mean? But I've always loved trains. Okay, and I've always loved trains. And that could be the reason why I have. So anyway, I'm just putting a bug in your ear. That would be fun if you guys can do that. Hint, hint, wink, wink. And what else do I want to say? That's pretty much it, I'm just kind of unwinding and getting things prepared in my mind and putting things in sections, I hope I didn't come off like I was like really hardcore. And please, I am not a political person. And that's what's so funny about it is it's like all throughout my life, I've been involved in some sort of politics. Okay. But I'm somebody who wants to get to the heart of the matter. And see, the heart of the matter is that we have ignorance. We have more ignorance than you can possibly imagine. We have a lot of ignorance. We have a lot of people who are neglecting their children. We have people who are producing children who don't deserve to have them. It's deeper. It's a very deep issue, okay? And that, and even when you're trying to do something in attempts to correct the educational system, you have to do this in a holistic manner. You know what I mean? And this is my approach to it. So anyway, and it's a suggestion. That's all it is. It's a suggestion. Okay. And I will be sending this to President Trump. I'm going to be sending it to the U.S. Department of Education. I'm going to be sending it to the Department of California Education as well, and possibly other states as we go along. You know what I mean? However, whatever. But I'm interested in getting feedback on, number one, understanding autodidacts, and then also understanding, what would need to take place in order for us to build a society of educated, truly educated people. Okay, and it has to be attacked from the foundation. Education has to happen. Also, and then then that's the next thing, is like going through each and every curriculum and showing options of different pathways to get to those things. Okay, now I want to use me as an example. Okay, now I consider people mostly describe me as very polite. I'm very polite. I think that I have proper etiquette. Now, I live in a world among people who really have no idea or concept of any morals or etiquette, which you can see. Okay, this is one of the reasons why I was taken advantage of. So easily, not just by the perpetrator, but by the people who were onlookers, people who were on the sidelines witnessing it all. Okay, because either they didn't know, or then they were just evil and they just wanted it to go ahead and happen. Okay, we live in a society that's very rough. But my thing is the important part is by informing the public, okay, about things like the law in increments or whatever, educational, whatever. It's a way of them being accountable. Because I'm tired of people saying, oh, I didn't know. Okay, once you know, you're accountable. And so by becoming accountable, it's going to do what? It's going to make you responsible. Either way, whether you choose to do the right thing or you don't, okay? But it is a way of letting you know ahead of time. It is not telling you what to do, because you always have an option. Okay, and I'm not sitting here saying this is what's being enforced. People naturally gravitate towards people who are positive. If you are not a positive person, then people aren't going to want to be around you. And it's just that way. You know what I mean? Naturally, I don't have to do. I'm just warning you and letting you know this is what psychology tells us. This is natural, a natural process that happens to people who are abusive. Okay, no one wants to be around abusive people in any way. So anyway, sorry, don't want to get down on this, but I gotta go. So I'll be back with another video sometime later. I did get dressed today. I was going to go to the library. I still might, you know what I mean? I'm just like, I don't know what to do with myself, okay? I have a little bit too much time on my hands right now. And I want to do my work on my project, but sometimes I just don't want to do it in my bedroom, you know what I mean? Anyway, back with another video sometime later. Take care, bye.